Hello everyone, this is Björn Speed Strid from SOILWORK and you're watching Stormbringer, the Austrian heavy sign.
The 11th album came out recently. It's called Verkligheten. Is it pronounced right?
That's good.
It's good.
You did good.
It pays off that I'm in Stockholm more often than in Vienna. Yeah, so it's called Verkligheten, which is translated to realities in English. What is the meaning behind the title? Because it's a very unusual title for to put it in Swedish instead of English, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was about time, and it was an idea that came up about 3 years ago. David, the guitarist, came up with the idea, and at the time it just seemed kind of weird. It's like he said, we should totally name an album Verkligheten, because it sounds extremely melancholic for some reason in Swedish. If you say reality, it's nothing, you know. But in Verkligheten, it's so much more powerful somehow. And when we started writing this album, we knew that it was going to have a very sort of Scandinavian touch to it, you know, especially with the melodic language running through it. And it came up again, and it's like, yeah, this is Verkligheten, you know. So it was a very fitting title, I think, musically and also lyrically. And lyrics deal very much with escaping reality, but also sort of, you know, facing reality. And there's always that kind of balance that also sort of you know, comes with age too. You sort of need to face reality, but you also need to invent new ways to escape it. You know.
So you dealt with the different kinds of reality on the album in the lyrics.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the balance right there, and I think David has written some of the lyrics, and I've written some of the lyrics as well. And it's his lyrics are more sort of focused on escaping reality, whereas mine are more sort of facing reality, or sort of like socially realistic, and his lyrics are sort of
more fantasy-like.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big fan of urban fantasy. He reads a lot of, you know, sci-fi books as well, and I'm sort of like the opposite. But together we communicate in a very, very good way.
It seems like a good combination of both worlds.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But when you write songs in the studio, you also use the guitar a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been writing a lot of songs on this album, and ever since Living Infinite, when also David joined the band, I think he inspired me to pick up the guitar again. So I've been writing quite a bit of stuff for the albums. I mean, ever since Living Infinite. So I think that was a challenge that I needed as well. You know, I am a guitarist from the beginning. Not saying that I'm a very good guitarist, but I'm, you know, somehow it's easy for me to. I just make it work, you know. Whatever I have in my head comes out in the fingers, and then if I have to copy and paste and this and that, you know, it comes out.
You don't have to sing it to anybody.
No, and I don't have to play it live, and I don't record it. Actually, you know, I've done a few things here and there, but no, I don't record it in the studio. So that's it's been very cool. You know, it's all about the song in the end.
So you got a new drummer as well. I mean, he's not new per se because he's on tour with you for several years, but it's the first album he's playing on. And did he participate on the songwriting as well?
Well, I mean, of course, everybody in the band, you know, they will put their, you know, touch on the album, and we only write the demos. You know, it's always going to be different when you take it to the studio, and we were sending, you know, files back and forth, you know, ideas, and then Bastian was doing some drums at home as well. So he's been very much involved, I think, in the new album as well. You know, and he definitely, you know, put his blood into this album as well.
Left his mark.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's let's say he's like 15 years younger than the rest of you, so he did bring in some fresh blood and some fresh thoughts as well. I guess some musical tastes that you maybe don't have, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a bunch of stuff that he changed around a little bit, and some of the stuff I was like, what is this, and it's like, and some of it we changed, and some of it we didn't, but I think it can be good, having some youth being brought into the band, not saying that I'm ancient, I just turned 40, but I think that definitely did something, he comes from a different era as well, so I think but it worked. There was that
was what I meant.
Level of communication,
he grew up with totally different styles of music. Yeah. Talking about that, when I heard the album the first time, it was like, there's many things that sounds like traditional heavy metal to me, and the question for me was, how many influence was your working with Night Flight Orchestra having on the SOILWORK record?
It's hard to say. I mean, I've seen people, comparing the new album, like certain songs to, it sounds like Night Flight Orchestra, but I think it has to do with the fact that, now they have a reference, because I mean, we've always been working with melodies and also traditional heavy metal. We had that in the beginning of our career, and Night Flight Orchestra only exists for about 8-9 years as sort of a what do you say? Like we released our first album in 2012, right? So I think now people have a reference somehow. So it's like as soon as they hear, it's like, because they know that me and David are in, we're both in both the SOILWORK and the Night Flight Orchestra. So I think that's also, why people sort of compare it, But I think, you have your sense from melody and you carry it with you wherever you go, basically. So, but I get what people are saying, but for us, it's like completely different things.
Two camps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, of course. But I think you grew up with music like Night Flight Orchestra in the 80s, like Toto Journey and all this, which is called progressive rock stuff. Do you think the 80s are a very remarkable time when it comes to music compared to like 90s or 70s?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a decade where we had the most sort of timeless melodies. Some people always complain about the productions and that it was cheesy and this and that, but if you go to the actual core, the songwriting and the melodies, I think that's the decade that has, produced the most sort of memorable melodies, and they're timeless. There's a reason why people are still fascinated about the 80s, the music, the melodies, and also the fashion somehow.
Yeah, me too. So not the fashion, but the music. But it's like seen from that angle. I mean, Night Flight Orchestra is maybe a little bit cheesy too, right?
Well, I mean, it's a weird word. What is cheesy? It's like, I mean, we're super serious, but of course, we're also having fun around it, But it also comes from the heart, It's if you want to record a music video, you might as well have fun doing it, because we have 20 years behind us with metal bands where everything needs to be so serious all the time. But that doesn't mean that it's a pastiche or a joke. It's like
of course, but it still is a side project, so you have to do it with with fun, of course.
Well, no, I mean it's a real band. It's no side project. It's the real deal, and then we do it, with so much passion. So it's I think we found the perfect balance there too, with this band, and people can, if it was just like a project where, like, let's do something 70s, 80s and wear cheesy 80s clothes, people would have been able to see through it. But I think that, there's a lot of metal fans liking it. I think that's because metal fans are very sort of serious, and they know when something is authentic, and I think they would have been able to see through us if it wasn't done for the right reason.
I think so. So the artwork is coming in two versions this time. There's this plain black artwork with the snake coming out of the globe.
Yeah.
And there's this other stuff which looks like Roger Dean had painted some Art Nouveau stuff back then. So what was the idea behind the splitted artwork?
Well, we found this artist, his name Valnois, and I discovered him through the, I think it is the last or latest Orphan Land cover. And I thought, this is fantastic, because I found out who he was, and we got in touch with him, and we just basically gave him some keywords, you know, and he sent us the first draft, and it was like, wow, this is not what we expected at all. But
so he did both covers?
No, I mean, that's just a symbol taken from the cover, you know, sort of symbolizing the escaping reality sort of thing. And but everyone was happy in the band with the first draft, which has never happened in the history of the band. You know, we were 6 people with very strong opinions, and when we got that, it's like, wow, this is perfect. You know, the colors too, it's very different from what we've done in the past too.
It reminds me a little bit of these retro rock covers that came out recently. Yeah, mainly from Sweden and stuff.
True. Yeah.
It's a very ancient touch to it.
Yes. Yeah.
So you got the first record deal back in '98, and it's like 21 years now. So when you look back at that time, you are the only remaining band member from that time. When you look back, what's the first thought when you think of '98 when you got the record deal?
I mean, it was just pure joy. I was gonna do my military service, but I wrote them a letter saying, like, I don't have time for this. I'm gonna be a rock star. So, which is kind of funny to look back at that now. You know, I never really considered myself a rock star, but at that time, it's like, I got a record deal, and we're going to Studio Fredman, you know, in Gothenburg, where At the Gates and In Flames recorded. You know, that was like,
being a rock star, basically. Right?
Yeah. I mean, we were in heaven, and then, you know, we went to Japan as well on after the first album, you know, which is kind of rare too. You know, it was a great time for sure. It was one of the best years of my life for sure. '98.
But is there anything, if the '98 version of you comes in now? Is there anything you're gonna tell him, like, don't do that or do that or something like that?
Take it easy on the booze.
Well, you still look great, and you're still here. So
well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm still drinking beer, but I cut down quite a bit. So yeah.
I'm talking of you are the only remaining band member from back then. I mean, the lineup changed a lot. Would it be possible to bring SOILWORK into 2019 with the old lineup? What do you think?
No. I don't think so. I mean, it just wouldn't make sense. You know, we live in an age where you need to perform a full classic album in its entirety, you know, to pull people. And I think at the same time, we're on this tour and it's 90% sold out, you know, and nobody's playing classic albums in their entirety. We're out promoting our latest record, you know, and that should be enough, you know. And like I mentioned before, you know, it's starting with Living Infinite and Ride Majestic and the new album, I think we did enter a new era with this band. I think we found a new expression, but we're also staying true to our roots very much. You know, you can definitely recognize us, but I think
because it's still a SOILWORK album.
Absolutely, and you can hear, you know, the passion behind it, and you can feel the presence. And as long as there's presence in our sound, you know, we'll be around. Otherwise, there's no point. You know, we never want to release an album as an excuse to tour. Yeah. You know. Yeah.
You mentioned the Swedish melancholy. Is there a thing like that going on in Sweden? Like
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
the morbid thing going on in Vienna.
The morbid, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think in the German language, it's Wehmut as well. We have
of course. Yeah.
So I think that describes the music very much. You know. You know, the melodic language and
also basically a thing of the North, like
being like depressed and comfortable, feeling comfortable. You know, somehow. You know, it's on that, like, it's always that balance. You know, and I think we project that through the music as well. You know, we're fun to be around. We're not a bunch of depressed people, but we also have that sense for the melancholic sides. You know,
it's a thing of the north, obviously.
It might be. Yeah.
I think it's many bands from Finland as well.
Yeah. True.
Talking of that, how's the package going so far with Amorphis and Ginger?
Yeah, I mean,
Nail to Obscurity, of course.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a great lineup, and I'm really happy to be a part of this tour. It's I don't know. It's about time. We did tour with Amorphis back in 2008. I don't know. It wasn't the same thing. Now's the time. You know. So and with Ginger and Nail to Obscurity too. Fantastic bands. So great package.
Yeah. Cool thing. So we leave it to your beer. You know this is a brewery, right?
I know.
Yeah. You can smell it all over the place.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So, but they ran out of beer last time. So.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So you leave it to your makeup. Of course.
All right. Here's the box.
And your stage time is in about like 30 minutes. So leave it at that and say thank you to Björn.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And watch out for them. New album, Verkligheten. No.
Verkligheten. Very close to. That's good.
Verkligheten.
Yeah. That's good.
It's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, done some Swedish exercises now. Yeah.
Thank you.